I want to die. Hello. Yeah, the street. Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on with OBS. I'm going to do a fresh install of OBS, I think. As I was saying, are both the streams back up? Probably. Let me know when you're back in, Mr. UEFN. Oh, you are in. Okay. Yeah, if you can import textures, you could draw a texture in Photoshop of what you wanted the colors to be. You know, like what you wanted the glowing colors to be and what you wanted the rock color to be. Essentially, kind of what I'm doing with the with this, you know, data field bullshit. But yeah, you just draw. I guess you could like take like an orthographic photo of your map. And then in Photoshop paint over it for what you wanted the rock color and everything to be. And then import that texture and just reference that using, you know, world position or something. Check out to match the landscape size. It would need to match... Well, yeah, you could map it to the landscape size. You could also just map it to world space. So... you could just be like... you know, this is 0, 0. Oh, well... Let's see. This is 0, 0 here. You could just be like, okay, let's put down like a giant plane or something. And then be like, okay, this point here is like negative, you know, 1 million, negative 1 million. And this is positive 1 million, 1 million. And so, yeah. You could then just map that using math in the thing by just going texture sample, world position, XY minus 1 million, whatever the top left coordinate is. And then there's some math you could do. You'd subtract it to go up to there. Then the size of it is divide by the size, which would be like 2 million or some shit. I don't know. Do you know what I mean, though? You'd be able to map it just using world position. If you knew where it was supposed to start and end. What do you mean, there it goes again? No, it's fine. Everything's fine. What are you talking about? You could even, if you were really lazy, actually, you could do remap range. And just do X coordinate, you know, world position. X, break to, and just do the input here. You know, what the X coordinate minimum is, negative 20,000, you know, top left corner. And then top right corner might be like 10,000 or something. And then just do the same for the G coordinate. And then create, you know, make vector 2. And then this would just straight up give you a 0 to 1, like, you know, a UV coordinate. So as long as you knew where the top left corner is and the bottom right corner were, then, yeah. I have 64 proxies, so that's 64 squares, each square, one landscape streaming proxy, then I got to tile it properly, Attached to the proxy Zen color. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you could have a 64 by 64 pixel texture. And then, yeah, just paint down whatever the values you want it to be in Photoshop, or even, you could literally do it in MS Paint if you wanted. And so that would kind of be your RVT, except it would be a non... It's like an RVT, but it isn't runtime, and it isn't virtual. It's just a texture. Alright, why is this ballooning and, like, going mega schizo? Also, can I get rid of that? Yes. Let me see what happens if I get the absolute here and I clamp this. Fuck off. If I clamp... Oh, fuck you. Alright, if I clamp this 0 to 50 and clamp this 0 to 50. Maybe even 49. Just to make sure they can't go out of bounds. Then what happens then? Can it ever... Huh. So they're still ballooning uncontrollably, the values, but it's never going full skits. So somewhere here, we are getting something that is making them go out of control. Did I just have the wrong values in there? Now that just looks dumb, though. That's not correct. Like, how can that possibly be going down? The R values should be going to the side. I mean, it's kind of harder to see. Hmm. Hum. Why do they balloon so? Oh, now it's angry. How did that happen? I literally clamped it. Huh? Charlie's game. I mean, yeah, literally. Other textures can be easy data tables like that to represent entire landscape. That's why I can't fathom using UEFN without RTs. Yeah. Yeah, I getcha. Am I just... Let me just like hit play a couple of times. So this is saying, oh yeah, your fucking value is 0.59 and 0.9. Well, let's just go next. Item 0.4, 0.89. So wait, we're starting all our values. Calculate initial data. These all have like a length of like up to 2. Which is very small. Wind meters per second, 2. Have I just like cockfucked it? I don't know. Let's go up to 50 at the start. And it's just going to like immediately balloon out of control. Like that, yeah. But when I do this, we hit simulate. So this is now saying -9, blah, 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 blah. This is 0.1, 0.19, 0.03, and 0.65. 01. Okay, calculator. (0.11) plus 0.1999 plus 0.035 plus 0.6501. Okay, yeah, so it's pretty much 1. So wind cache this index. That's this guy here. We're then going to add it to the other guys. So where are we getting this weird feedback loop? Okay, here's an idea. What if we never put it back into itself, ever? What happens then? Okay, they still go out of control, even if there's no, like, self-smearing. Is it that the cell size world space is supposed to be in centimeters? No, because the travel distance is in fucking... You know what I mean? And then even here, it still balloons out of control. Let's put that up to 100. Or 50, I guess. 50 each way, da-da-da, append, blah, 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 blah. Don't even worry about that fucking B channel. How are they going up and down? Like, I don't understand that. Like, if we just said... Initial data. Calculate the initial stuff. We're just going to move in the x-axis. What the fuck? X-axis only. What are you... What? What? It just fucking disappears, huh? Bitch, what the hell? Oh, that's because the fucking... It's because I was fucking with this. Okay, even then, it just peters out. Wait, but that should only have... Oh, and I unhooked this. Right. Hold your dick. Hold the dick and the ball. Is that the right color? Is that doing any... Okay, there's 0 green on that, so that makes sense, yes. So this is... All the red values do their thing, that negative value's going into there. And there's no ballooning out of control, that's great. In the initial data, if we only do Y values, is there any fuckery? Aha! So something is getting fucked up in the Y value something somewhere. Update cell. It would help if if this wasn't just completely fucked up. So in the Y, we have the X coordinate, the original X coordinate, and then we add the Y, you know, up or down, whatever. So that's fine. That should also be fine. Then we are getting that value, the one above or below our dude, and that's going into there. The index is this here, which is the original wind meters per second plus... I'm fucking dumb. I'm a fucking idiot. I had this debugging earlier and then Alright, okay, so now that should do its thing normally. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, now that we've fixed that infinite fuckization glitch, we should be able to have really big values up to 100 in either direction, technically. Yeah. Yeah, clamp them to 100. Cool, cool, cool. And this should just look like windy shit, right? There we go. Okay, there's our wind. Wind be doing windy things. Now, obviously, this has no feedback loops or anything. Yeah, finished fine. Thank you very much for the follow. Also, Janush P, thank you very much for your follow also. Crazy. Right, so now we can kind of visualize the actual, like, the movement. What these actually mean, you know? It's not a very windy texture, is it? What's the G look like? No, the G is the little one. The B is the... maybe the A would be best for this. Looks a bit like wind. Yeah. It's a bit foamy. You know what? I think the R was fine. Okay, so how does this work with a lower delta? Oh, wait, no, I hard-coded the delta, didn't I? Shit, update cell here. Delta is... delta. Let me also just make this go way fucking slower. Let's just make our initial stuff more noisy. Will that ever, like, converge? Probably not. Okay, why is that now just going to 0? Okay, no, it is calculating initial. It's just not doing it in editor. Yeah, whatever. Okay, that's a decent enough starting position. Casey, I'm currently working on a global wind simulation. Sounds really dumb, but trust me, it's even dumber. Okay, so here's our wind shit. Technically, it works. This has like it doesn't give a fuck about the elevation. Doesn't give a fuck about anything. There isn't pressure. There isn't temperature creating thingos. There is pretty much nothing happening here. Nothing smart, at least. Performance issues when applied on large areas. So, my idea is to only do one cell per frame. Or like a few cells per frame. And it'll be done in C++, so not in Blueprint. Prototyped in Blueprint and then converted to C++. But this is currently, I think this is only like a 40 by 40 grid. I think it was 120 by 120 was what I'd need for this map, which is like, I don't know, each cell is 100 meters, basically. But the idea is that we only we'll only be doing one cell at a time. And so it'll kind of get updated in a round robin style. And then the values around the player will get interpolated. So we'll have the before value, we'll have the new value, and we'll smoothly interpolate from one to the other and update the render target near the character. But all the other ones will just get updated, you know, once per frame. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to simulate. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea. But then with this, so like most of the weather is, you know, it all depends on wind currents and ocean currents, technically. I mean, I guess we will do ocean currents and shit. But yeah, so changes in temperature create, you know, pockets of cold and hot air rises, so that creates, you know, yeah, we're not going to be doing, like you're asking, Max, using vector 3, also get the up direction, is too much to even notice it. I might do the up direction just for the sake of, like, physics. So, like, if there's wind going up this hill, you know, it would technically be blowing upwards as well as sideways on the ground level. Whether or not I actually include... I don't really need to include that in the, you know, the advection of the wind. But we could just say, because we know the terrain normals, you know, we know in here, maybe we don't. Maybe I need to. Well, anyway, we have like a kind of coarse, you know, elevation map thing. So we can just say, oh yeah, like at this point, because the wind is moving in this, at this speed, then the upward amount of that speed would be this, and we can do that for the physics objects around there. But yeah, I think the main thing we'd want to do is calculate initial data. Just let this do its kind of its thingo. Go to the debug drawman. Initialize, clear you up, pull all the coords data. So yeah, we now have this data here, which is just, you know, a height map. Well, it's actually a normal map. Just the pressure you're simulating hasn't accounted for temperature or humidity. No, so this is just the wind velocity, pretty much. The pressure. So like where wind fronts meet, where there is a great change between wind velocity, we then get higher pressure. And whatnot. If two, what happens when two wind fronts? What happens when two wind fronts collide? When two masses of air of the same temperature collide and neither is willing to go back down, the only way to go is up. Yeah. Okay, so you get an updraft. Two winds converge and rise together in an updraft that often leads to cloud formation. So a lot of this is about creating feedback loops and whatnot. It's just a randomized start currently. But, you know, we will be doing temperature, you know, like based on the sun location. We can then get the current sun, what's it called? The sun shit. Sun exposure? Sun radiation? At any given, you know, tile. Which will then heat up the ground, the landscape of, or sorry, it will heat up the ground, and then the heat of the ground will heat up the air above it, which mountains will, you know, like if the sun is here, then behind this mountain is in shade, therefore it's going to be cooler while the outside becomes hotter, which then creates a, you know, wherever it's hotter, or like, we'll be generating wind current based on a low to high temperature gradient, as well as a bunch of other factors and shit. And yeah, obviously, higher up on the mountains is cool. and around... Well, I guess if higher up on the mountain is cooler, but it's further up. And hot air rises, but what... How does it even... I don't know. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff to do. Basically what I've spent the past, like, fucking 6 hours doing is just stupid math to actually make our cells send their data into the adjacent cells. But the gist of it is that now that we know, like, okay, for each iteration, this cell is putting values at these ratios into this cell, that cell, this cell. It's super easy to just be like, okay, get the rain, or get the clouds, then move the cloud amount from this cell into these cells, given the ratio that the wind is moving. So this is kind of the whole crux of the system, is just getting wind to move from cell to cell and knowing how much of it goes from one cell to the other for any given update iteration. How to make a gradient to set the ocean height, max height, the wind temp or something. Height gradient, obviously. Yeah, well, that will be computed beforehand based on, you know, the elevation of the terrain, where the sea level is set. We can also do things like where are the permanent water bodies? And so, you know, permanent water bodies, sun hits them, or it's hot, it evaporates, and, you know, we form clouds and shit. So, you know, there would be a lot of turbulent wind from the seas. And something that I might do sooner rather than later is give the boundaries of the simulation like a bias inwards for the wind. Or I don't know, maybe only some sides. I guess you could configure that. So it's like, oh yeah, the wind is always blowing from this direction to some extent. But I think what I want to do first is... Oh, wrong button. Get the wind curling around mountains or deflecting off of mountains. So probably start with just going to this way and then have it based on... I guess that's kind of easy because I can just turn the wind based on the normals. You also take into consideration seasons, and if we're going super fancy, Earth rotational, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so seasons... Seasons would have to be emergent. It'll... I won't really have it programmed so that seasons can kind of be hard-coded, but because, you know, it'll obviously take a lot of tweaking, but it should become winter if the days become shorter, because there's less time for the sun to heat everything up. So winter would actually be locational, depending on a bunch of factors. And also doing like a... So, probably not axial tilt, because that's a bit crazy. But I'll do an equator to pole gradient. So you can say, like, okay, This part over here is the equator of the planet. And this part over here is the pole. And kind of adjust the, you know, the length of the day. Or, you like, how do I even put it? Basically give it, like, you know, a kind of sun exposure offset. And, you know, you could do it so that, like, okay, this part here, you know, gets sun for longer, whereas this part here gets sun for less long. And so over time, yeah, this part would go into winter. This part would go into... Sorry, this would probably never have winter. This part would be constant winter, and then the middle would depend on the seasons. Yeah, the aim isn't to, like, simulate real life, but it is... The aim is to essentially create, like, an emergent seasons / emergent biomes. So that you don't have to, like, you know, deal with, oh, like, this place is a desert, and now I have to put down a big volume, or, like, trace a spline or something to be like, okay, in this area, rain isn't allowed. And so when our player goes into this area, we have our, like, weather manager, like, player-centric weather manager. And we say to it, okay, you're not allowed to do the raining event when you're over here. But, like, sometimes it does rain in the desert. If a certain, you know, it's like El Nino shit. Or, you know, based on whether something is in front or behind the, you know, the wind current over a mountain can determine the fertility of the land and whatnot. Hello, my boy. Hello. Are you good? Boy. You want to go outside? Maybe I'll wrap up. Maybe I will wrap it up. I did pet the cat. I did pet the cat. So yeah, I'm glad this works now. There's a bunch of other shit to do. Trying to find the biome based on the conditions instead of establishing the conditions based on the biome. So you have to simulate it. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, let's say the sun goes out, you know? Or there's like a nuclear fallout and there's like fucking, you know, the atmosphere is covered in ash, or you're doing like global warming or something, then it will adapt to that and all of the biomes will change accordingly. Or maybe like a new fucking mountain appears, like a big volcano, and it's like, okay, well, what does that do for everything around it? It does work. It does work. Yes, we got it working. At least the first part of it. So this is just wind velocity stuff. Then we just need to do deflection. Well, yeah, does wind deflect around mountains? Wind does deflect and is distorted around mountains, acting as a barrier and causing airflow to change direction or speed. This can lead to phenomena like barrier jets, mountain and valley breezes, even the creation of lee waves. Flow around or over them. Yep. As wind approaches the mountain range, it will be deflected parallel to the range, creating a strong localized wind called a barrier jet. Sweet. During the day, the sun heats mountain slopes, causing air to rise, create a valley breeze. At night, the slopes cool, the air descends, creating a mountain breeze. Sick. Orographic lift. When a wind encounters a mountain, it is forced to rise, which can lead to cooling and condensation, resulting in cloud formation and precipitation on the windward side of the mountain. On the leeward side of the mountains, downwind, disturbances in airflow can create waves called lee waves, which can lead to turbulence and strong winds. I wonder if I should have a turbulence value that wouldn't really change the overall simulation, but it would change the the visual, like the whoosh, the whooshy whooshiness of it, the kind of erraticness. Yeah? Oh boy, why are you so grumpy? Get out of there. You want to go outside? Yeah. Can you jump? Come here, boy. Oh, God. College building was built in such a way that it created an artificial turbulent leeway. Everyone got blown hard just approaching the thing. Yeah, actually, a lot of buildings do that. They do that. Do. Steep cliffs can create eddies where air flows back towards the cliff face, counter to the main wind direction. True. Actually, yeah, how do I want to do, if the wind just straight up hits a wall? I guess I'd want it to bounce off, right? Which would be kind of easy. It's just if the normals are fucking giga high, then we reflect. We get the reflection vector. I guess that's what we'd be doing anyway. We'd be getting... If we get the normals of where the wind is, and we if the wind is going this way, but the normals are pointing this way, or let's say this way. Normals are pointing that way, but our wind direction's going this way, then would it reflect or move tangent? Yeah. No, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it would just do this. It'd just go that way. So if this was all moving, if this was all facing that way, and the wind's going like this, it would just end up going that way? Or is it that when it hits it, we do the reflection vector, but that gets added to this and it ends up straightening out? So rather than rotating the wind, we would do this and then add this to that. So this plus this equals this. So maybe we do just get the reflection vector and then based on the steepness, add that vector back into the original dude. I don't know. I've got no idea. I think it would reflect it in a given cell, but it would end up moving tangentially because reasons. So if the dot product between the normalized vectors is negative, then we'd know that the wind has to do something. Yeah. Oh god. That's terrifying. Yeah, anyway, I think we'll work on this more tomorrow? Question mark? I need to sort these damn cats out real quick. Alright, well. Thanks everyone for hanging. We got there eventually. We did get there eventually, which is great. Quite happy. A lot of fuckerization, but again, we got there. So for the Twitches, we are going to be raiding Crimson. I don't know how many people are left in here because our stream died like 4 times in a row. Let's see. We've got 33 viewers ready to raid. That's actually quite solid, considering the circumstances. But yeah, now that this shit's kind of done, I think maybe before we move any further, I want to do the round robin update stuff. Instead of doing bulk caches and whatever, because that's a fucking nightmare. So, basically we iterate from top left, we go around, we do all the shit, and as we get 2 lines down, we then start doing, you know, writing these ones to the cache and updating the render target for them. So I think we'll do that next, just so it stays performant from the get-go. So then we can just add more layers and do all that fucked up shit, you know. Alright. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Ready to raid. Spaghetti to raid.
It's because they're breaking down the door rather than opening it.
And to the YouTubes. Goodbye.
You guys are able to open